Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And yeah, if you saw the title, this is gonna be the final episode. The final episode of What If Naruto Had a New Dream that changed everything, guys. I just want to thank you all for following me on this journey, for sticking along with this story even after my channel was down for the longest time. And I came back and you guys still stick with it. So I just want to thank you all for following me along this long journey. And I hope you guys enjoy each episode that came. I thank you all for the comments, all the likes. And yeah, I'm grateful, guys. So yeah, today I'm going to be giving you a final episode, which is going to be a long one. So sit back, relax, and enjoy, guys. And also I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was an Elite Blue-Eye Uchiha. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy over on Anime King. And stay in tune for the brand new episode over Anime King 3 that I'm going to be posting tonight. And remember, if you're new as usual, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this final episode? Start the intro. So, the last part that we left off. Naruto was still mourning the death of the girls that died. As he was livid at Madara, he would truly make the man suffer. He had inherited the Mokidan after implanting the cells inside his body. Both him and Orochimaru went to Konoha as he got DNAs from his parents' sample, just to bring them back as Edo Tensei once he was done with all of this, as it would be a good laugh for him and see the look on their faces. He also revived Hoshirama in the process as well. The man was confused where he was and what exactly was going on as he looked around. But Naruto was too busy dealing with the seals, letting off comments every now and then, as he connected Hoshirama's mind to his, as he stole all the man's memories so he could learn about the Mokidan. And that he did. Jiraiya had made his way toward the hidden sand, as Gaara was the one that he can turn to right now. The remaining ninja had made their way towards the hidden sand as well. Gaara opened an open arm for them. The entire land of fire was sieged by the elemental nations. Madara, who had crushed everything, he decided to go kidnap the ATL Jinchuriki after all. The more and more time the Uzumaki had the Edo statue, the more likely that he would find out something. And he couldn't allow the Uzumaki to gain that power, because it was becoming a realistic chance with Fuinjutsu he could do something. Some time passed as Naruto learned the Mokidan, but he got no way. He got nowhere to finding a way to help Zana or even touch the Edo Tensei. As Naruto sighed, it took some time, but he was slowly running out of nature energy as his body started to age, as he was going to go to the west of Kiri to collect some nature energy to there. But he was nearly robbed by a group of thugs who didn't even know who they were messing with. It was then that he felt something, as Zana felt as well. As Naruto pulled the life force out of the man that tried to rob him, the man's body shriveled up. He came back as he absorbed all the natural energy out of the prisoners that he had. Karin felt shaken up by that as she was afraid, as Naruto told her that he can bring her somewhere safe, and that was in his hand. She agreed, as she could feel it, especially because of her sensory abilities. It didn't feel natural at all to what Naruto was doing. She knew that he was gonna leave her, and she was gonna tell Jiraiya and the others what happened, but it's not like they can do anything, so she did. Jiraiya was at least glad that Naruto wasn't the one that caused this to Konoha, but working with the snake Sandaime was nothing good. But Naruto had learned how to master the Mokidan and his body. The flowing energy has been getting better as Naruto started to pull natural energy from the earth. The earth shake and turn into sand. As Zana remembered that there was no sand oasis there, and when she came back, after a few years there was a sand oasis. That meant someone else must have had the Mokidan and did that to the world. But Naruto knew that he was getting closer. It's only a matter of time before he can draw the Gedo statue out. So yeah guys, so basically that's what left off. Yeah, so let's begin this final episode of What If Naruto Had a New Dream That Will Change Everything. A grinning blonde sat in the lap of the Gedo statue. Wooden vines growing from his body and piercing the Gedo statue, like his chains. It had been rather hard to twist his chakra and convert part of his body to wood, but he had learned how to do it. The Gedo statue tried to resist, of course, but it was futile. In its incomplete state, it could do nothing but sat there as Naruto reached for its life force as he felt it. To be entirely honest, he expected to run into another roadblock, and then he had to sneak and find that sneaky bastard Jushin. But he didn't have to, as he felt the Gedo statue life force. Focusing on it, Naruto started to pull it into himself. He was met with heavy resistance from the Gedo statue. Knowing what he was doing, he could feel the thing rage. With a scowl, he pulled it even harder. As he felt a small drop coming through the branches, the Gedo statue was stubborn. Try opening the first gate, it might help, Zana suggested. As Naruto did so, she was right, as he started to pull it even more. Grinning viciously, Naruto started to open a gate after another, his ability to drain the statue increasing by every gate he opened. Yes, keep going, says Zana. We are gaining far more than we're losing. The gates were having a strong effect on Naruto's life force, given that she was absorbing it, but still, they were getting more from the Gedo statue, as she could feel fear coming from his statue. Yes, they were definitely doing something right. By the time Naruto opened his 7th gate, the power flowed through him, as the damage of the gate was being repaired through the immense life force that he was absorbing. I still can't read the chakra trapped inside of it, said Naruto. I can sense it's using the chakra to regenerate its own life force. We can be here forever this way, said Naruto. I may have a solution for that, said Zana. I know that you never learned how to open that gate, but you have used it on others before, and I am now connected to yours. So if we work together, we can force it open. As Naruto continued to pull the life out of the Gedo statue, as he mauled over the rest of that move. As long as you continue to drain the statue, you will be in no danger. But this battle cannot be won by holding back. Even tainted and diminished Gedo statue is still divine. You must rise above your humanity and defeat Zana. Naruto nodded as the both of them focused on the 8th gate. Pain ripped through his heart as the gate was forced open instead of proper training. But his regeneration kicked in and fixed the damage as he focused back on the task of hand. As he started to slap the Gedo statue, life force faster than before, a red cloak around him. If the Gedo statue was complete, the battle would have probably been even, but it was not, and it was losing. As Zana felt the chakra in desperate reach. Using Naruto as a medium, she took hold of it. The jewel, the original spirit that was bound to the Gedo statue, could no longer hold on to the chakra because of how weak it has gotten, because of Naruto's sapping away its life force. As the powerful, corrosive chakra was pulled into his Reaper Dead Seal, it burned intensely as it was pulled through his coils. When all of the Biju chakra was pulled out of the statue, Naruto removed the branches as he closed the gates. Taking his attention as he turned towards his wife inside. Are you alright? I feel much stronger, she said. Stronger than I ever was. Her voice filled with glee. Naruto grinned, jumping down from the Gedo statue to get his wife out of the seal. It has been too long since he held her. Zana was eager to be free, but she slowed down her exit so she would not harm his body on the way out. Know that she held all the chakra of her siblings except for the Hatsubi. It took longer than expected. Her chakra was a bit wild, being merged with the other 7 Bijus, but she forced it into human form. As soon as she was reformed, Naruto grabbed her into a tight embrace, touching her to make sure she was really there. When she finally managed to pull away for a second, he kissed her, as the both of them fell to the ground, as she wrapped her arms around his neck, and they deepened the kiss. As things turned hot and heavy, after all, it's been so long since they held each other. Hours later, the both of them were in the hammock, as Naruto could tell that his wife has gotten immensely more powerful. She was actually closer to being a Jubi than the Kyuubi now, something that he wasn't complaining about at all. Other than that, she was still her. For himself, he couldn't tell if he has gotten any more stronger, but he felt more energetic. On the other hand, Zana felt different, as she had gotten all the elemental affinities from her siblings, something that she was very pleased with, as she was given a lot of versatility that she otherwise lacked before. As for the changes in him, they were obvious if you look closely. His hair was literally glowing. His skin was releasing a tiny, glowing sensation as well. From the amount of life force that was stored inside of him, his chakra coils had expanded to a further extent as well. As she smiled, she lay her head down on his chest and closed her eyes, as Naruto had stolen enough life force on Gedo's statue to live for 10,000s of years. There were already ideas in her head to deal with that dried up husk that remained. But that wasn't the thing to think about right now, as she felt something hitting against her leg. That brought a smile to her face as she looked up at her husband, as he smiled back. Time skip. Orochimaru was certain that he was in literal hell, that he was being punished. He was in hell. Yes, he had died, and now he was in hell. A week. Naruto and Zen has been having sex for a week. A week without breaks. He wanted to also have the ability to suck life out of people. That last part wasn't a part of their deal, but he hoped Naruto would include it. He was sure that Naruto would die after opening the 8th gate, but he was fresh as a daisy afterwards. That made no sense at all. When the naked red head had appeared, he almost approached the blonde to ask him to remove the seal, but something inside him held him back when the two of them started to have intercourse right there. Despite him still being here, he realized what that something was, as his mind had told him that Naruto would not be in the mood to deal with him right now. He shrugged it off at the time, thinking that he could bring it up in the morning. Unfortunately, the married couple did not slow down, so he waited, and waited, and waited, and it's been a week. Their noises, they allowed no sleep for any living creature, nothing, until they were finished. And not to mention they like to move around a lot, so he had to constantly move. The animals were showing signs of insanity. Because of sleep deprivation, no one could sleep. Orochimaru performed enhancement on his body, so he didn't have to sleep that much, but even he had his limits. As a squirrel was chewing on a rock, it was hallucinated from lack of sleep, thinking that it was a nut or something. But now it was finally over. The roars of pleasures and pain, the sound of trees and stone being torn apart for some weird reason in their intercourse, was finally finished. Peaceful silence. That meant they must have went to sleep. He figured he should get some sleep as well, before everything was gonna happen. Time skip. I assumed that you would like that seal on your forehead removed near to axe, as Orochimaru joined him and Zana for breakfast. Zana was tearing apart a piece of barbecued deer. She didn't have to eat, but she was freed, and she missed this feeling. Orochimaru nodded as he looked at the blonde. Well, I'm afraid that's not gonna happen, said Naruto. What? Why? Orochimaru said. He thought that Naruto's hold of his enough for bargain, so this betrayal was completely unexpected. You're a very dangerous man, Orochimaru. Do you really think I was just gonna cut you loose? That would be retarded. Orochimaru clenched his fist and glared at the blonde. He couldn't attack him because of the seal. Have you ever wondered, Orochimaru, why you came to just accept your situation? Orochimaru frowned as he realized that was very out of character for him to do that. I didn't tell you everything about that seal. There was another part that was kept hidden. At first it wouldn't do much, but the longer you stay in my presence, the more it affected you. Very slowly and very carefully, the seal has been changing your mind into a way of thinking. As time passed, you think I would set you free once Senna was restored. Despite having many suspicions in the beginning, the changes were so small you barely noticed. And then, you completely lost that sense of your mind to even wonder about them. Why do this? Orochimaru said. I couldn't have gone against you with the seal either way. So why bother with this, he asked. Because it made you more cooperative and easier to deal with, said Naruto. I lost our latest real battle, and you've become much stronger since then. What is the purpose of keeping the seal on me now? Orochimaru asked. Doing his best to calm down anger would do him no good here. Do you remember Teiwaya, Orochimaru? Said Naruto. The man frowned. It took a moment for him to remember that Teiwaya had been a part of Zone 4. He hadn't thought of them since he sent them to collect Sasuke and they died. Yes, that was all he said. I liked her, you know. She had spunk and she was really cute. That foul mouth of hers was just so damn funny. It would have been nice to have her as a little sister. Zana rolled her eyes. Her husband had a little sister fetish. Orochimaru's face creased in confusion, wondering what the hell that had to do with anything. She really needed someone to help her. Someone that would have kept her safe while she dealt with what trauma she suffered. Instead of that, she met you, who placed a seal on her that turned her mind into a mess so that she would be loyal to you. No, Orochimaru saw the reason. He really had to hand it to the blonde. He can hold a grudge for the stupidest reasons. He probably knew that girl for about 10 minutes, and he was now still holding a grudge. 4 years later? Well, anyway, you said you want to know the truth of this world. His instincts told him that this wasn't going to end in a way that he liked at all. Tough, said Naruto, and his vision went dark, like someone just locked off his lights. Time skip. Well, that was remarkably treacherous of you. Usually you prefer a more frontal approach, said Zana, after his snake-stunning body collapsed to the ground. Well, Orochimaru was a huge asshole, so I'm lumping him in with the same trash that I use as lab rats and life force battery. After all, he had it coming. You're just mad that you had to kill that girl back then, instead of making her one of your cute little sisters. That's the reason, isn't it? Naruto blinked. Is it that obvious? It is to me, she said. It would have been so great. She would have gone around calling everyone shitface. And that mud keyboard would have probably hit on her, and she would have probably kicked him in the balls. Naruto said that stupid grin on his face, as he imagined it all. A small smile came to Zana's face. Despite his stupidity, she liked that his mental mind was still there, that it hadn't been completely wrecked after losing all those girls. Time skip. Here it was, the day of prophecy, the time that every man and woman dread. Hey mom and dad, good to finally meet you, said Naruto with a grin. Naruto-chan? Too confused but happily voiced his asked. Meeting the in-laws. That's me, said Naruto. Minato and Kushina brushed away their confusion. That the huge blonde with creepy eyes and sharp teeth were their son. As they moved forward, Minato moved closer. Kushina rushed in into a hug. You're so big and handsome, she said. How old are you, and who is this with you, she asked. Minato just observed, knowing that he wasn't going to get a word in until his wife calmed down. I'm 22 right now, and this is my wife, Zana, said Naruto, perfectly happy to return his mother's hug. Oh, how did you meet? You got a Kushina squeal, as she failed to remove herself from Naruto because of the chains holding her in place. Naruto-chan? As she ignored for the moment that her son could use the Uzumaki chains like her. Yeah, mom? Why are you groping my butt, she said. The look on your face are just too priceless, said Naruto. Besides, it's a really nice ass, and I'm kind of a pervert. Minato sighed in defeat. Jiraiya got to you, didn't he? Naruto scoffed. Bitch, please, Jiraiya has nothing on me. Even wrote a book on me, and it's his bestseller. Minato wasn't sure if he should be beaming with pride or face planting at this point. He also had no idea how to feel that his son still hadn't let go of his wife, Posterior. Kushina wiggled out of the hole as she moved back to her husband's side. Well, you still haven't answered my question. How did you meet your lovely wife, she said, now in more control of herself. Naruto smiled. Actually, I have you to thank for that. You see learned to me when I was born. You guys are the best parents ever. You sacrificed yourself so I could meet my soulmate. I love you guys so much, he says. He wiped his eye like he was in tears. Their eyes widened when they realized. Their heads slowly turned towards Zana. Greetings, mother-in-law. Father-in-law, said Zana, with a bright smile. Isn't she great? Their expressions made Naruto and Zana wanted to laugh. Time skip. So if I understand you correctly, you fell in love with the Kyuubi and made it your life dream to marry her and become immortal. Then due to certain events that wasn't your fault, Shafted the Toads got removed as your summoner and became a missing nin. Learned a terrible forbidden jutsu, enslaved Orochimaru to Sannin, stole the first Hokage memory and bloodline, and kept on abusing your power to save your wife after she was nearly destroyed. And now you're close to battle Madara Uchiha in a final battle that will determine the fate of the world, said Minato. Well, if you say it like that, it makes me sound like the bad guy, doesn't it? Honestly, if people had just mind their goddamn business, I would have spent my time taking care of my cute little sisters and love my wife. I probably wouldn't have even sacrificed 5 or probably 6 dozen scumbags before I found out immortality. Kushina and Minato were shocked by the whole story. They couldn't fathom their son's behavior. He hadn't been shy that his childhood was miserable. But when they tried to apologize for that, he looked at them strangely. He didn't understand why they were apologizing. As far as he was concerned, they'd done him a huge favor by sealing Zana into him, and he loved them for it. They were happy to hear that, but they were also deeply unnerved by everything they heard. They grew to accept that they screwed up when Zana appeared in the village, and they all panicked, and that they all truly love each other despite the strangeness of the situation. What unnerved them though was his admiration of the demoness, but they wouldn't say anything on the matter. It quickly became obvious, even though he loved them, their son had no real attachment to them. It made sense, seeing that they were dead. They would take the opportunity to spend some time with their son, until he released the Edo Tensei and sent them back to where they belong. It would be saddening that they were never going to see him again. After all, he wasn't going to join them because he was immortal. But that was perfectly understandable. So, what kind of things do you two do together? Kushina asked. Well, we like to play the rape game a lot, said Zana. The rape game? Said Minato. Yes, we violently rape each other. But the only thing that we're allowed to use is brute force. Whoever pinned the other in a submission hole and scores the more orgasm win, theirs or their partners. If any other woman stumble on us, whoever made the other woman feel more uncomfortable get double points. And if you manage to get them to join in, triple points. I see. Minato and Kushina said, what if a man stumbling on you? Kushina says, you cover her mouth. She always did these things, just blurt no things, before she thought about it. Well, no other man allowed in the raid game. Women only. But why, she said. Curiosity, overriding her better judgment. You see, because I'm kind of a hypocrite. I will kill any other man that tried to touch my lovely demoness, even though she let me sleep with other women. As Kushina was just shocked by how plainly he said that. Could we please stop talking about the raid game, said Minato. How about you tell us some stories of your genuine days, Naruto-chan? Kushina said, thinking that would be a safe topic. Oh, I got just a story. Jirei came to get me and told me that we were going to find Tsunade so that she can become 5th Hokage. Naruto began the tale. A few moments later, and that is how Jirei got inspired to write Ichi Ichi Shibera, said Naruto, feeling pleased with himself at that tale. Minato lowered his head to the ground. Dear sweet merciful God, is it wrong that I'm starting to feel grateful for being dead? I love my son, but he's really completely insane. Kushina, on the other hand, was having a different reaction. After getting used to her son being a complete pervert, she was looking at it in a different perspective. My son, he's so manly, she said, realizing how much guts it took to pull off the crap that he did. Aw, thanks mom, you're the best, he said, before looking towards Minato. But what's up with dad? Don't mind him, he's always been a bit flaky. Do you have any other stories that doesn't involve sex, Minato asked. Well, there was this one time when the Hyuga main house pissed me the hell off by putting the birdcage seal on my little sister. Minato sighed, having a good feeling how that ended. Both Kushina and Minato pick up on Naruto's strange little sister fetish right now. And they realize that he was cautious about them, so yeah, they had a clue. Well, it all started when I was finished raping this girl. Don't worry, she liked it. Minato sighed. Well, I was wrong, he thought to himself. Time skip. Naruto hummed to himself cheerfully as he made his way through Lightning Country in broad daylight, just mainly avoiding the patrols or anything that he smelled or sensed. Zana was inside him again, neither of them willing to risk another summoning instant. They were on a mission, and that mission was to get the Haxabi and stuff it inside the Gedo statue and then rip it out, so Zana can truly become the Jubi. Recycling Bijus for the win, he thought to himself. After that, they will suck everything out of the statue until what was left of the Jubi, original spirit, wither away and die, so Zana could take over of the Gedo statue and replace it as a tainted goddess, making her truly divine. Might as well go all the way if you were nearly there. Madara wouldn't even know what hit him. Time skip. Team Samui was looking at the advancing blonde, feeling rather uncertain on how to deal with the situation. They were pretty sure that he hadn't noticed them yet. They were downwind, so he wouldn't sniff them out, but they didn't know what to do. They were set on patrol duty, so they should stop him from trespassing. But Samui had shot that idea down, because they were no match for him. Karu was ready to just go up to him and confront him. The Kage left orders to try to convince him to join Kumo, and he was heading there anyway. As for Moi, he was overthinking like usual. What if he's planning to infiltrate our village and assassinate Raikage and take his position? Or maybe he's gonna destroy the village like he did Konoha. Or maybe he's gonna capture all the women and turn them all into his concubines. Karu smashed her face on top of his head. Shut up, Amoy. You're overthinking again. As Samui saw him stop, as he turned with a smile. So, he knew they were here. Not cool, she said. Time skip. As Naruto had a smile on his face, as he knew them from the bingo book. Killer Bee students, of course they will know how to find him. Greetings, Uzumaki-san. Samui greeted politely. Hey there, Jug, said Naruto. She was almost as big as Navi. She kept herself calm. He wasn't the first one that tried to rile her up by commenting on her chest size. Not to mention the bingo book entry clearly say that he would do something like this, so she shouldn't be surprised. What is your purpose in Lightning Country? And what do you think my purpose is? He said that grin. Samui simply stared at him silently, instead of playing his game, so he turns attention towards her teammates. How about you, Amoy? What do you think I'm here to do? Amoy grabbed his chin as he went into a thinking pose. None of them were too surprised that he knew their names. They were in the bingo book after all. You're behaving really calmly and you approach in the open, so your intentions are probably not hostile, unless that is what you want us to think. And you're trying to use us to get close to the Raikage and assassinate him. Or maybe you've fallen in love with Karu or Samui at first sight, and you're trying to get into their pants. As Naruto blinked, what kind of thought process would make him move from assassinating Raikage to getting two girl pants. In the end, he shrugged. Word people were fun. Or maybe I've been overcome with my lust for women, and I'm heading to Kumo to create a massive harem of hot girls so they can have a lot of children, and I will train them into the ultimate fighting force, and I will use them to take over the world, said Naruto. Samui and Karu see that he was being difficult again, but Amoy was horrified. I can't allow you to do that, even if it costs me my life, he said, as he pulled out his katana. Only for Karu to punch him on the head. Idiot. He's just messing with you, she said, as Naruto snickered at the sight. These three were just too damn funny. You really remind me of my wife, Karu. I like you, he said, as that made her blush slightly. But she was surprised he was married. Oh really? Oh, so she asks. The both of you have similar skin color. Red hair, but she's taller and she's not flat. Her eyes are red. Actually, no. That I think about it, their hair is a more vibrant shade of red, and her skin is more lustful. Not to mention her personality is completely different. Come to think of it, you don't remind me of her at all. It's kind of like comparing a newborn kitten to a tiger. Karui started to tremble. The only reason why she hadn't pulled her sword on the annoying blonde was because of the look that Samui gave her. Naruto sighs, he pulled out the Kusanagi. I was really hoping to provoke one of you into attacking me, but it looks like I'm gonna have to attack you instead. All of them draw their blades as they backed away. As Naruto looked at his blade, as the blade started to change shape and getting longer and more wide. This just keep on getting better. Tenten would have squealed if she saw that he could do this, said Naruto. If it could change length, he thought, why couldn't it change shape as well? Now then, are you going one at a time? Or are you all gonna come at me all at once? As he pointed the Kusanagi at them challengingly. None of them moved, so he stepped towards Karui. He was gonna hold back though, because he didn't really want to hurt them after all. They broke off into a flanking maneuver as Karu attacked from the front, as he pushed against her blade, making her skid backward. He added more strength as she was knocked and collapsed on her butt. He turned and blocked Amoy and Samui's strike. Sensing that Karu was back on her feet, he shoved back the other two and blocked her strike, as she struck hard. But he simply pushed her around, so the three of them were in his sight once again. They took a moment to center themselves, as they exchanged frustrated glances. Each of them were skilled with a blade more than him, but that didn't really mean much when he could simply just push them away with pure brute force. His much longer arms and his long blade also gave him a larger advantage against them. Come on now, if you don't attack me, then I'm gonna attack you, said Naruto, with that grin on his face the entire time, as they attacked again, trying to overwhelm him with their numbers. But he just kept on blocking no matter what. Even when he got opportunities to attack back, he did not. He just kept on blocking no matter what. And it seemed like he was getting more skill with his blade the longer the fight dragged on. In fact, he didn't have to rely on his super strength anymore to keep him at bay. His sword skill had become refined, learning at that speed was impossible. No matter what kind of genius you were. They were right, of course, it was impossible. But Naruto was not learning it out of nothing. Senju Hoshirama was rather skilled with a blade. And now that he's in a battle with blade, his body was catching up to his mind and making the movements. Having gotten what he was after, he decided to tease him now, as Amoy came at him, as Naruto's back was wide open as he slashed at it. But his sword was stopped by Naruto's hair that wouldn't be cut. What? Amoy said in shock. Not even a single hair has been cut by his attack. It's been a while since I used my hair in battle, but I don't really want a haircut either, so I learned how to reinforce it with Senjutsu chakra. It's even tougher than steel wire, he said. You shouldn't let your guard down, said Karu as she slashed across his bare chest, creating a tiny scratch that didn't even bleed, as it just healed over. Oh yeah, I do the same thing with my skin. You bastard. You've been toying with us the entire time, she said, as fire coated her blade. She launched herself at Naruto in a furious assault, slashing. Whoa, it's like fighting a berserk kitty of chaos and destruction. Come at me, pussycat, he said. Samui and Amoy coated their blades in lightning and they went to back of their teammate. Naruto simply enhanced the Kusanagi with raw chakra instead of using wind, because that would have been detrimental to Karu's fire. He wouldn't get hurt, and as he said, he wasn't here to hurt them, as Naruto blocked their attacks with one hand with nothing but ease, putting them back at square one. Another few minutes later, they were starting to get tired. They wasted about a quarter of their chakra reserves and they had nothing to show for it, not even a scratch. They didn't use any ninjutsu because they knew that was a stupid move against a Jinchuriki when it comes to chakra proportion. If Uzumaki wanted to stick with blades, then that was just fine with them. What do you want, Uzumaki? Samui said. Stop playing those uncool games and just tell us. Naruto sealed Kusanagi away in his coat. Well, since you three had been such a good sport of giving me a good sword fight, I guess I might tell you, as he motioned for them to lean forward. They narrowed their eyes and they did. as they saw that he has dropped his guard completely. I'm gonna take the Hatsubi away from your sensei, but don't worry. I can do it in a way to keep him alive. Instead of anger or fear, he felt grief flash through them. Killer Bee isn't alive anymore, isn't he? Said Naruto. They were surprised he picked up on that so quickly. They gave short nods. Technically, they weren't supposed to tell anyone about that, but they already knew anyway. His attention from fighting them, he hadn't done anything to Kumo, so they would stand down for now. Damn it, said Naruto as he looked off in a random direction. You just had to make things difficult, didn't you? Of course. You wouldn't just sit and wait for me to kill your resurrected ass. You old shriveled piece of crap. Wait, you know who killed her sensei? Who was it, Karu said, as she wanted to avenge her teacher, but Kumo didn't know who did it. His body was found in the land of clouds and lightning, staked to the ground with black rods. The cause of death was a ruptured chakra network because of the extraction of the Hatsubi. There wasn't any evidence other than the rods made from an unknown material. They would have blamed Akatsuki, but Uzumaki tore that team to pieces, so they had nothing to go on. As Naruto looked at them, the right Kage would get too hot-headed and get him and them killed if they went up against Madara, because they couldn't win against him. No one you need to concern yourself with. He's not someone you can fight. Karu temper boiled over. How dare you tell us that it's not our concern? Do you have any idea what it's like to have your sensei killed and not be able to avenge him? That same man killed a really good friend of mine and my big sister, and forced my three little sisters in a situation for them to commit suicide so that they wouldn't be used against me. Karu stepped back, surprised at that. That was a lot worse than having your sensei killed. Well, I guess he also killed one of my senseis, but we weren't as close as you guys was to yours. This was the same guy that flattened Konoha, by the way. The three of them, eyes wide in unison. That wasn't something they could fight. They wasn't even sure if the right guy could win against something like that. As Naruto moved closer and scooped Karu and Samui into a hug, as both of them squealed as they tried to move away. Don't worry, girls, I might not be doing it for your sensei, but that guy will get what is coming to him. As he pressed both of them into his chest, much to their anger and embarrassment. Let us go, Karu cried out. Sure thinking, he says let them go. Both of them were blushing slightly. Aw, you two are so cute, he said. Shut up, said Karu. Sorry about what I said earlier, Karu. You're really beautiful. I was just trying to provoke you. I told you shut up, she said, as her face was getting red. You're even more cute when you're angry. She tried to punch him, but he grabbed her face and spun her around, as her back was pressed against his chest. You're really something else, kitten, he said. As he felt up her rear end, she jumped away with a yell, as his fingers started to twitch towards Samui, but her tanto placed right at his crotch. That is not cool, said Naruto. Her lip twitched at his choice of words. Fooling around with the other girl when you're married isn't cool either, she said. No, that is a pretty damn complicated situation, said Naruto. But fine, if you don't want any hugs before I leave, it's your choice. I'll manage, she said, as she knew that he would have probably tried to grope her. Suit yourself, I guess, he said, as he waved goodbye. Bye now, as he vanished in a perishing teleport. I think he completely forgot about me after we stopped fighting, Amoy said. He didn't. He just didn't pay any attention to you. Because you're a guy, said Samui. Damn perv, said Karu. Well, it was stated in the bingo book, said Samui. As Naruto reappeared, well, so much for that plan. The plan can still work, it just needs some readjusting, said Zena. True enough, but I just wanted to own Madara when we fight him. But if you have the Hatsubi, things are gonna be slightly more even. No matter, the only proved to be a slight delay. At least we'll have more time to beat him in the ground until he stops getting up, said Zena. Well, there's that, said Naruto. Well, I'm about to finish this off and get back to my honeymoon. You hear that, Jobe? We're gonna kill you. Time skip. 2 weeks passed since Naruto had encountered Team Samui. They only had Madara left to take out, but they weren't gonna go in half-cocked and risk everything at the end. They already knew how they were gonna end it, but they only needed time to get used to their new situation. It wouldn't do to be unprepared in battle after all, as Naruto had spent almost the entire time sitting in a meditative position, his focus being inwards. Neither Zana or the Gator statue was anywhere to be seen, seeing that they were inside of him at the moment. In point of fact, both were now one of the same. As Naruto and Zana didn't leave anything to chance, they drained the Gator statue dry, to the point that the Jobe ancient spirit had dispersed into nothing. As Naruto had opened all the 8 gates and sucked it dry, it could not sustain its life force anymore and it was now gone. As soon as that was done, Zana took up residence in the truly empty house. Unfortunately though, she hadn't been able to do much with it. No shape-shifting or taking human form, anything of the sort. The most she was able to do was walk like lumber. Clearly, it would only restore back to its full strength once it had all the power from the juice. After that, Naruto completely removed the Rupert Death seal from his skin and created a new one. His new one even involves some space-time ninjutsu. After all, how was such a huge thing able to fit inside of him? Time skip. Naruto stood on top of Hoshirama's head in the Valley of the End, looking around. His hair was tied going down into his back, dressed in his loose open shirt. The necklace that Sandaime gave him sparkled as it was around his neck, as he had on black comfortable pants. And he was barefoot. His master over Mokuton and Senjutsu felt more comfortable when he had connection to the earth, his bare feet, as he could feel everything, as he felt the vast emptiness in Wind Country. He figured that he'd restore life to that part of the world. After all, he took so much while he was not able to sustain himself with Zena. So doing something that wasn't selfish, yes, that was a good thing to do. But that was for later. And it was good to kick Madara's ass in the same place where he got his ass kicked before. He took a deep breath as the chakra went towards his throat. As he screamed, Madara! The head of Madara Uchiha snapped up as he felt the impressive chakra force snap into his senses. It was so huge it was hard to pinpoint the exact location. But after a few seconds he managed to find out where it was. The Valley of the End. Madara smirked. How appropriate, he thought to himself. But you wonder, why did Uzumaki call him out like that? From the amount of chakra that he has used, he could have used several S-rank techniques. But he did that just to call him out. And Madara was nowhere close to the Valley of the End. So probably the entire Elemental Nation heard that. Oh well, it will fit with his way of doing things. Madara got to his feet. It was finally time that he got what he wanted. Meanwhile, oh dear. You appear to have cracked poor Shirama's head, said Zana with amusement. They just don't make statues that they used, said Naruto as he jumped away from the crumbling rocks. He's coming, said Zana, as she could feel him a distance away, seeing that the Hakubi chakra was inside of him that was basically calling out to her. It is as we expected. He has made himself the Hakubi Jinjulke. Oh, what's this, said Naruto as he wiggled his toes in the ground. It seems like we're also gonna get an audience, he said. It didn't take too long as the man crash landed in a boom. Its black hair fluttering in the wind. As his eyes focused across the blonde, his eyes were just showing his standard Sharingan. As Naruto's slitted golden eyes looked into his. As Naruto was mimicking Madara's stance. Yeah, he'll be stealing this. So, said Naruto, let's dance. Madara's eyes widened a bit as his catchphrase was stolen. But he smirked. Yes, let's, he said. The both of them rushed at each other without drawing any weapons, as the two titans were about to clash together. As their blows connected, the valley started to be ripped apart. The airwaves, the pressure was trampling the rocks below. As Madara realized that Naruto's fighting style was close similar to Hoshirama's, but there was a big difference. Hoshirama blows did not feel like the hammer of God. If it wasn't for the Ashura path, toughness and strength to his body, something that he could use without even the Rinnegan activated, his bones would have already been cracked into pieces. And despite the massive blows that he sent back, Naruto shrugged them off like nothing. His Sharingan saw that any damage inflicted on Naruto healed far too quickly for them to mean anything to him. As Naruto decided to spice things up as he spat a slimy liquid towards Madara. Madara saw it coming and leaned away so it would flew past him. He looked where the thing landed out of the corner of his eye as he saw the ground sizzle and burn away. That was Roki by acid slime, Madara said, as he saw the Bichu chakra empowering it. So he actually succeeded in pulling the chakra out of the Gedo statue. Without the Rinnegan, he couldn't have split it. So that means he has the 8 of them inside of him. I'll have to watch out for that. As Madara flashed Yuhan sign as he reflected on that. Fire style. Great fire annihilation, he said. As Naruto scoffed. Water style. Water formation wall, he said. A vast torrent of water spewed from Naruto's mouth like an ocean as it slammed into the approaching fire. As steam filled the entire clearing, as Naruto brought to the Kusanagi and blocked the strike from Madara, approaching Kama. As he turned towards the man, as the man had his Mangekyo Sharingan activated, while Naruto was busy pushing away the Kama with his blade, Madara swung the Gunbei towards Naruto. As Naruto's arm came up and blocked it, Madara noticed a coral that spread over Naruto's arm that he used to block it, the standby coral, and the water element. As he now understands how Naruto water was so potent, his mastery over the Biju chakra is impressive. He has no dojutsu to help him, and yet Madara had subdued the Hakubi, but it would have been far more difficult if he didn't have the Rinnegan. And yet Naruto was able to subdue them all. As Naruto's cheeks bulged, Madara had to dodge and Naruto spit out air balls that tore through the ground. They ripped through trees, tore trenches in the earth. As Madara swung his Gunbei, Uchiha reflection, he said, as he doubled the force. as Naruto blasts intense blue flames that sent the air back towards Madara, who raised up a wooden wall and blocked it. The battle came to a short pause as they stared at each other. I guess that is it for the warm-up then, said Naruto as he cracked his neck. You are proving to be quite interesting, Uzumaki. I haven't had this much fun since I danced with Hoshirama, said Madara. Hang on a second, said Naruto as he moved his bare feet in the earth. As Madara knew that Naruto was there to defend himself, but he wondered what caught his attention. Did he sense the approaching shinobis? Zetsu made no intention of any sensory ability from Naruto. Nothing powerful enough to sense this far. But Naruto sensed something that caught his attention. Both of those two things radiate a strong life force. Strong enough to feel almost identical to Hoshirama. Well, weaker though. Oh, you've been a bad boy, Madara. Bringing friends to a private party. Madara eyes Naruto a bit, as Naruto had sent White Zetsu and Spiral Zetsu that he brought just in case. How could he have sensed them though? To anyone else, they should have been indistinguishable from the environment, as long as you're hiding. The only reason he could sense them because he created them, so how could Naruto sense them? As Naruto took hold of two life forces trying to hide in the earth, as he ripped the life out of them. If they were human, he would have required physical contact, but they were not. And he could rip the life force right out of them because they were connected to the earth. Madara's eyebrows furrowed a bit, as he felt the two of them died, without any cause. He wasn't upset by their death, but he wanted to know how Uzumaki killed them. How did you kill them? How do you even know that they were there? As Naruto grinned, screw you, that's how. Madara glared back, as he still wanted to see how strong the Uzumaki was before going all the way. Tsukuyomi would be useless against him, because of the Bichu inside of him. The Kyuubi was cooperating with him, and would be able to break the illusion easy. So that meant Amaterasu and Susanoo. Amaterasu, he said. Fire sealing meteor, said Naruto, as Madara watched as the black flames were sucked into a seal that Naruto created in mid-air, with nothing but the air as a medium. The seal dispersed and the black flame was gone, taking the Amaterasu with it. So sorry, but that unknown campfire of yours won't be very useful against me, said Naruto. Madara showed no outward reaction, and suddenly, his chakra pulsed. The upper half of his Susanoo surrounded him. You know, I still think it's complete bullcrap that you can summon this giant turkey with just your eyes. It doesn't really make all that much sense. Madara did not care what Naruto think as he manifested 4 arms, each of them holding on to a blade. As Naruto moved as the thing came crashing down, the arms tearing apart the ground with the blades in them. As Naruto created a Rasengan, as he infused it with Sage Chakra, as he hurled it towards Susanoo. The Susanoo ribs cracked but did not break open from the force. Damn it, not enough power, said Naruto as he kept away from the swords that tore into the ground. I did tell you it would be too weak to destroy Susanoo, said Zena. Yeah, said Naruto. They couldn't use one of their more deadly techniques and kill Madara yet. They didn't want that yet. It would ruin the plan, it wasn't worth the risk, no matter how minor it was. Besides, these glowy swords weren't really a threat to him. They were only giving Madara a glimpse, a hope of a chance that he could actually do something. But they have already taken out the equation of him actually losing here. Yes, Naruto would not lose. They weren't 100% certain because they did not know all of the Rinnegan powers, but he was pretty confident about it. As Naruto shot chains from his back that grabbed onto Susanoo, the Kusanagi blade started to hum with green, blue chakra, nature, and his own chakra. As he shot forward, slice. Now that's what I call a disarming maneuver, said Naruto. Do you really think you accomplished anything, Madara asked, as he simply regrew with the Susanoo arm. Not really, but it was still funny. How about you try this on for size instead as he extended the blade, as he tried to block it with his blades, but it bent around Susanoo like it was made of paper. Madara fled out of Susanoo, knowing that it wouldn't be blocked. Yes, the blade was just cut right through it. As it kept on chasing after him though, he brought his gun out and slapped it aside, messing with the nature engine inside. The blade returned back to its normal size. Madara summoned back his Susanoo, as he called forth a large group of flickering tomos that were spinning. As Naruto remembered that technique from Hoshirama's memories, it could be a rather troublesome thing. They could chase him around and they were damn hard to block. But he had just the thing. Wood release. Wood locking wall. The Yasakame Tama smashed into Naruto wood release wall as it held up against the assault. When it finally died down, Madara was surprised, although he tried to hide it. How did you come into possession of the Mokiton, Uzumaki? Well, mommy and daddy got adventurous one night and decided to do it on the largest tree they could find, and some tree sap got mixed in as well. And this tree still have Hoshirama chakra in it, so I got the Mokiton later, said Naruto, his face dead serious. Madara said nothing, but he knew the blonde was saying screw you once again. Madara activated his Rinnegan, as two sides of Suno form, as each of them held a hand sign, and he held the third. Heavenly obstacle, he said. Quaking star. As Naruto looked up at the massive meteor, it seems he's getting serious. It was about time, said Zena. Well then, let's see how he viewed my counterattacks, said Naruto as he draw. Because not again. He threw himself to the meteor, gathering nature energy and wind chakra into his blade. When he was nearly there, he swung the Kusanagi, sending an invisible crescent blade towards it that became visible and started to hum with nature energy around it. One sword style, sage art, planet splitter, he said. The meteor split as Naruto flew right in the center, shading the Kusanagi blade. As he activated the first 5 gates, the half that was falling towards Madara, he kicked it and sent it sailing towards Uchiha as he grabbed the other one with his claws. Madara had taken the air as soon as he summoned Meteor, so he did not get hit by his own attack, and he was surprised to see the blonde cut it. One half was sent flying at him, but he was already above it. The blonde threw the other half towards him, shocking the hell out of him. What incredible physical strength, as that strength was beyond him. That could obliterate the Sano and flatten him as well. He raised his arm. Almighty. Push! The force slammed into it, crushing it. The two of them gazed at each other as Madara blinked. So, you learned how to fly, Uzumaki, as both of them were in mid-air. What a stupid question. Of course I did. It's far too useful a technique not to learn. As he closed the gate and deactivated strength seal, Naruto wasn't too interested in aerial combat though, as he descended back to the ground. The Valley of N was looking beaten up at this point, with meteors being thrown around and all, as he felt fear from all around. The approaching shinobi had seen the meteor, as Madara landed as well. So, said Naruto, are you gonna do something or not? You've been an impressive opponent so far, Uzumaki, but this is where it come to an end. Willgreave, border jail. Naruto and Zana were confused by the odd technique, before a massive force slammed into Naruto, breaking his nose as he was sent sailing. What the hell, said Naruto as he pulled himself out of the trench, as his nose already healed. Something smashed into him again that sent him sailing away. That felt like a fist hitting me in the jaw, as he felt a kick in his back. There is something hidden from our sight, said Zana. Not Chakra though, as she strained her sense to find out what it was. It has no life either, I can't feel any natural presence, said Naruto, as he took a few of the other powerful hits as he tried to figure out what was going on. It is useless, Uzumaki. You did well so far, but you have no defense against his techniques in Madara. Well, just as Naruto slammed into the side of the mountain, he pulled himself out. It was kind of useless after all. No matter how much hit he get, he would regenerate, and Zana had an unlimited amount of supply of chakra running through his system. I think I know what's going on, said Zana. I can sense a shadow of Madara malice every time you take a hit. He's somehow projecting duplicates of his shadow in the impure and pure world. They can see us, but we can't see them. Damn it, I was really avoiding to use that technique, said Naruto. He only had one thing in his arsenal that can probably counter this, and he was not thrilled about using it. Well, congratulations, now you forced me to go this far, said Naruto. As Naruto stabbed his claw into his palm, his hand started to bleed. Madara noticed the blood was almost black instead of usual red. Outer path, the haunt of wicked man. Madara's eyes widened in shock when darkness that only he could see with his Rinnegan took shape from the black blood on the ground. They shift and turn as he felt the malice and hatred and anger radiated from them. Without warning, they launched himself towards the shadows and clung to them tight. As Madara knew he couldn't allow his shadows to be dragged back to the blood pool at Naruto's feet, as he quickly called his shadows back. When they felt that Madara's shadows were gone, Naruto and Zana worked hard to pull these things back to where they were. They resisted, but they were still pulled back. So, you seal the gate of statue inside for yourself, and use it to call forth the damned souls to counter my technique. I did not expect this in the least. Quite risky, but I guess I should expect something from you like that. Yeah, well, your technique was really annoying, said Naruto with a scowl. That technique made him feel like he dunked his soul into raw stowage. While they couldn't reach into the pure world to resurrect anyone, they could reach into basically hell and bring out souls. As Naruto smirked, both of them clapped their hands together. Wood release, secret technique, native delicacy of trees. Time skip. By the time the 4 Kages and Jiraiya got to the spot, along with their elite troops, the battle had already escalated. Massive trees, explosions from various techniques. By a mutual, unspoken agreement, the war was put on hold because of the circumstances, and they left the bulk of their forces out of the way to prevent them from becoming collateral damage. What the hell is going on, 8? Said as Naruto punched one of the larger wood into oblivion, as Jiraiya quickly summarized the situation. Why were we told of this? Both of them are a threat to the entire world. A Kage summit should have been called, Oniki said. Tsunade kept it quiet because of Naruto's request. He convinced her that fighting Madara openly would only result in a lot of pointless deaths. She agreed with the power of the Rinnegan there was no way that they could beat him with force. So, she believed that Naruto would find a way to deal with him. And it's no doubt just a front so Uzumaki could act without any problem, said Oniki. Jiraiya-sama, do you have any suggestions for what we should do now, said Mei. Sizzling could be heard as Naruto spewed acid from his mouth and incinerate a block of trees coming towards him. I think for now we should stay out of it. We would only be collateral damage if we join in the battle, said Jiraiya. Meanwhile, Madara grimaced as Kusanagi slammed down on his armor, cutting deep but not cutting through it. As the force was keep coming though, so he jumped away and blew Naruto away with his gun bay. If not for his armor, that hit would have taken his arm off, and he'd have needed time to use a Rinnegan and Hakusebi's chakra to regrow another arm. He already lost his Kama, and now he only had a gun bay to help himself, but that was fine. But he would just take that sword from Uzumaki once he was defeated. The black rods were useless because Naruto would create them as well, so they were no better than just sharp black poles. That armor of yours is really pissing me off, said Naruto. Before he smirked, magnet release. Magnetic aura, he said. Instantly, Madara felt his armor being pulled away from him and they were attached to his clothes. He released it, as luckily he was able to save his pants. It would have been rather embarrassing to fight in his underwear. There, that's better. This way, I can cut into your flesh, said Naruto. Madara then smirked. Well, Uzumaki, he said, you certainly proved that you know how to dance. But how will you deal with more than one opponent? As Madara summoned 20 wood clones that jumped away, surrounding Naruto in a circle. All of them activating Sano. Seriously? I gotta say I'm disappointed, said Naruto. This tactic of throwing clones, it's pretty juvenile. Let's show this fool how outclassed he is, said Zana. As Naruto raised his arms in the air, he wanted to use this one ever since he learned of it. Madara saw the world literally twisting as Naruto chakra permeated the air. The sky darkened, the earth shook, the wind started to howl. Natural disaster befalling heaven and earth, said Naruto. Natural lightning started to strike everything. Earthquakes, tornadoes. The world was being torn as Naruto stopped trying to rip the earth. As the Madara clones were now annihilated, while the original had took to the skies, using gravitational pull and force to shield himself. That is something only Ten Tails is capable of. How can you possibly use that technique, said Madara? He read about it on the tablet. It stated that the Jubi was the only one able to do it. I'm glad you asked that, said Naruto. Screw you, that's how. You basically need to be a sage with a god-like force, which Naruto was, and which he had. You use that life force to pull in the world around you, until the world rebelled with natural disasters. Even though he stopped, the sky still darkened. Rain had started to fall. Madara's eyebrow twitched, the blonde was being annoying, and was starting to get to him. Meanwhile, the observing Kages had just split their jaws off the ground after seeing the technique. I see that Tsunade left out quite a lot in Uzumaki bingo book entry. No, it was still accurate when he was released. But now, I have no idea how he became so powerful in just this short amount of time, Jiraiya said. I do, said Gaara. As he looked towards him, he's demonstrated the power of 7 Bijus already. The Rokibai, the Ichibai, the Nibi, and many more. That means he must have all of them sealed inside himself. Impossible, said Jiraiya. You can't have more than one Biju inside the same container. It's been tried before, and it always causes Jinchuri's death. But the Kyuubi is different, isn't she, said Gaara, reminding Jiraiya of that. You're right, she's sentient, and far stronger than the others. And Naruto is capable of sealing her inside of him, and taking her out at will. He may have found a way for her to absorb the chakra of the other Bijus. Are you telling me that he's the one who killed my brother? He said. No, Raikage-sama, said C. I'm sensing the Hakusebi chakra inside Madara, not Uzumaki. A wasn't any less pissed, he just shifted targets. Wait, Raikage-dono. Attacking now would be unwise. Let them exhaust themselves, we can attack once one of them falls. Although it will be a shame killing two such strong and handsome men, said me. A looked even more pissed but sat down for the moment. Give me one good reason I shouldn't just use my dust release to vaporize them both, said Oniki. Because it wouldn't work, you've seen already, Madara can absorb any chakra nature based jutsu. As for Naruto, he knows a higher shin. Jiraiya was still hoping that Naruto would come out of this alive and well, maybe as a hero. But he would just have to wait. Meanwhile, as Madara sighed, why do you struggle so hard to stay awake in this hellish world? Do you even know how humans came in possession of chakra? Sure I do, said Naruto. Kaguya Susuke got the munchie for some divine fruit. She got pregnant with her son, who decided to split the Jubi and use his chakra to spread around the world. Personally, I think he was quite dumb thinking that humans wouldn't use it for anything else but war. As Naruto was retaliating while he was fighting, Madara had taken the opportunity of summoning 4 more arms by the Azure Path. So 6 arms against Naruto. Madara was almost certain that Naruto was just using this as a joke, and he knew the true story. Due to the Kyuubi telling him, if you know that, why do you keep on fighting? Chakra was meant to be a gift, but it is weaponized. It would be better if everyone slept peacefully in the infinite dream. Well, I don't really care about that. In the end, I'm a bastard who only care about my wife. And in the world I'm planning to live in, I need Chakra to be there, said Naruto. But you will have her forever if you just stop fighting and help me finish the moon I planned, said Madara. That would be like settling for porn, and I can have the real deal. Who the hell would do that, said Naruto. Madara growled as he saw openness. He slammed his hand in Naruto's chest and used the human path. As soon as he grabbed onto Naruto's soul, he felt something else. A powerful, ancient spirit was coiled around the blonde soul and preventing him from pulling out of his body. The human path had no power over demons. His soul is mine, a furious female voice said, as Madara looked up into the right eyes of Naruto that looked like the Kyuubi. As Naruto smashed his head into Madara's nose. Pretty slick move you try, Madara, full know my soul. It might have actually worked if the circumstances were different, said Naruto, as he found it rather amusing that the way his wife had broken Madara's nose, even if it did heal rapidly. Are you insane? Allowing a demon direct access to your soul like that, said Madara, unable to hide his shock. She's my wife and I trust her, said Naruto, as he felt the happiness from Zana that made him smile a bit. I've had enough, said Madara, as he summoned its final Susanoo. I will crush you if I have to, he said. Yeah, how about no, said Naruto. Hashirama memories were proving quite useful once again. Alright, let's do this. Just like we practiced, but on a much bigger scale, said Zana. I'm ready, said Naruto as he leaped away avoiding the sword slash, giving himself some distance. The moment he landed, he started to spew lava out of his mouth as he held it from the chakra that was given to him by the Yanbai, as he stabbed his chains into it. Lava release, yin yang release, sage art, lava element, the lava to give it substance, the yin yang release to give it form, and its strength and influence with the natural chakra manipulating it. Like a puppet, despite otherwise lava would just collapse into itself like a puddle. The thing started to take humanoid shape until it was large as Madara Susanoo as it created a sword out of lava. If it wasn't for Zana taking care of half his technique, he wouldn't have been able to pull it off. Have fun with that guy, Madara. I'll be over here watching the spectacle, said Naruto, as his chains had to keep stabbing to it though to keep it moving. He just said to piss Madara off. Madara grit his teeth. He never fought the blonde before, but the blonde was countering all of his damn techniques. Meanwhile, this is just insane, said Kankuro. All of them are watching the massive battle take place between Naruto, lava creation, and Madara Susanoo. Miniature tornadoes were being created as their blades hit together. It was like the ground was being ripped apart. The place was being shambles. The battle of the ages. No one has ever witnessed something like this. This was beyond the point of crazy. Eventually, Madara Susanoo won the battle though, because of speed. It had no mass like the lava creature, so it was able to cut the lava creature in half vertically. But then Naruto hurled a massive, infused Rasengan with lava as it exploded in the back of Madara Susanoo. Madara hissed in pain as his skin healed. Even though the technique didn't physically touch him, it burned his skin. The heat was just that intense. What's wrong, Madara? Is this all the mighty second stage of Sixth Path? Ken muster Naruto asked in amusement, looking down at Madara from above. His Kusanagi was nowhere to be found. His top, open sleeve shirt was now completely burned off. As he stood there, Madara had lost his gunbi because Naruto ripped it out of his arm and tossed it away far. Its hair had come undone and was whipping behind him. But other than that, he was completely fine. Dark storm clouds had blocked out the sky completely. How can he have this much power, Madara asked himself in utter frustration. Despite having a Rinnegan, Naruto was able to muster more raw power than him. Had it not been for the Hakubi chakra to supplement his own, he would have been critical low by now, despite his own massive reserves. The real problem though was Naruto's Senjutsu. It made his technique so strong, just like it did for Hashirama back then. What he needed was to achieve Sage Mode as well. He technically knew how to do it after seeing Hashirama do entering it so many times before. But he never tried it because he didn't want to accidentally kill himself. But he never needed the power boost so much before. Knowing how to do it, he jumped away, as he felt out for the natural injury. It was incredibly thin though, incredibly so. But he felt it as he drew. He nearly turned himself into a tree. He used the Hakubi chakra to counter the Sage Mode chakra. As Madara slammed his hands together, Naruto wondered what he was His eyes wide when he felt Madara pulling the life force out of the ground. It was slow and weak. Not to the point where Naruto can pull so much, but it was shocking that he could anyway. But it seems that Madara didn't know what he actually did. He was trying to draw it from the air, but it was so thin. His body, subconsciously, drew it from the ground. Madara had no idea why Naruto gave him so much time to enter a Sage mode, but he will regret it. His Rinnegan changed as it turned into molten gold. He had the markings along his face like Hashirama. Let's see how you deal with Hashirama ultimate technique, Naruto. Oh? You mean this one, said Naruto. As the both of them said the same thing. Sage Art would release. Choose 7,000 hands. The two giant structures rose, even taller than his Susanoo. Madara cursed a bit as Naruto's was 20% bigger than his. Are we having fun yet, Madara? Naruto yelled. I've been having fun since we started, said Madara, as the two massive golem moved. The shinobi army that was there decided to retreat to a safer distance, but they could indeed see the massive things that were charging towards each other. It took about 20 seconds as the two statues crashed together. An explosion went off of their furious hands, slamming together. A couple minutes later, Naruto was seen hovering in the air looking around for something, as the two gigantic wooden statues had been broken to pieces. No one saw Madara, so it seems that he has been defeated. A was just about to suggest that they confront Naruto when Madara appeared in front of Naruto's hand, shaped like a cannon. Naruto only had a moment to look surprised as a beam blasted his head off. Everyone was stunned as they were ready to charge in, but C spoke up. Wait, I can still sense Uzumaki's chakra. Meanwhile, Madara was breathing heavily, as he had used the same thing that Hashirama did as he went under earth. He turned his arm into the cannon from the Azure Path, and he did. He won. He killed Uzumaki, but Naruto's body did not fall. Instead, his head started to regrow. Laughter. You should have seen the look on your face and Naruto's head fully regrew. His hair spiking out back. Did you actually think that you won? Madara stepped back in confusion. How are you still alive? He said. My wife took over the Gedo statue, and that statue is immortal. With Zana having a tight grip on my soul, I'm immortal as well. As long as my body is still within a form of regeneration, I will never die, said Naruto. Unless you blast me to utter oblivion, you won't win, said Naruto. And I know you don't have anything to do with that. As Madara realized, the blonde was still as fresh as ever. This was just a waste of time. He was just messing with him the entire time. But there was something Madara thought, as he smirked. If he hit him with a Biju bomb, he would definitely die. That would expel the chakra out of him. As Naruto was still laughing when Madara slammed him with a powerful kick, knocked him down towards the ground, and then instantly transformed into Hatsubi, charging up a Biju bomb before the transformation was even complete. As he fired the ball, knowing that Naruto wasn't fast enough to get away from that. You fool, said Naruto, voice to the side, chain stabbing to Madara's form, as he ripped the Hatsubi out of him, sealing it inside of Naruto. As Madara fell to the ground dazed, his chakra network is shabby right now because of the thing ripped out of him so quickly. He didn't realize something in their entire fight. The blonde didn't use a higher shin, not even once. Damn it. He was keeping it as an ace in the hole for this exact thing. For him to release the Hatsubi and then he could rip it away from him. As Madara, remember what the blonde said to him when he killed his loved ones. You should have stayed dead, Madara. The next time you see me, I will be a god. And not even death will save you from me. It would seem that those words had come through as a bright light swallowed the entire place. Once it cleared down, Naruto stood there in a white cloak that was made from chakra, with Megatama markings running down the side and the back. In his left hand, he had a Shakijo. In his right, its blade was in. It seems like he retrieved it. His hair was now white and there was horns grown from his forehead, the truth-seeking balls behind him. Seeing that the Kyuubi had replaced the original Jubi, it worked perfectly. Madara picked himself up from the ground. The Rinnegan had repaired chakra network. He didn't see any way of winning this, but he was not gonna die like a coward. After all, he was still in Sage mode, as he sent forward a lot of roots, empowered by Senjutsu to attack Naruto. As Naruto raised his right hand and created a Rasengan, wind release, secret technique, Sage Art, spiraling tornado, he said. The Rasengan was in the center as a tornado was around it that was completely white. A space-time seal for him to control it and move and add more chakra as he sees fit. The Rasengan ripped apart all of the roots that he sent forward. The technique then paused, confusing Madara, as he did not come after him. as Naruto sent blue flames after it. As Naruto realized, his eyes went wide, fire mixing with that kind of wind, not to mention the sawdust from it would release. Dust. Explosion. Boom! The explosion shook the entire clearing. Madara blinked. His body was in unimaginable pain. Burned badly as he looked up. The blonde was standing over him. Why didn't you just kill me, said Madara. If that explosion happened close to him, he would have been dead already. But yet, the blonde did it from a distance. At the moment, he couldn't even move his body. We still need the divinity held in your eyes. The divinity stolen from the original Shinju by Kaguya Osusuke when she ate the fruit, despite being told it was forbidden. As Naruto placed hand on the man's chest and started to draw out his life force, Asana pulled away his chakra. A few seconds later, Madara was shriveled up. His eyes looked like they evaporated out of his skull. He was still alive though. How do you feel? Naruto asked his wife as she finished, absorbing the Rinnegan power. Like a goddess, she said. Hurry up and finish him so I can get out of here, she said. As Naruto formed a chakra crystal, you know, Madara, after you killed my girls, I thought long and hard what I would do to you. I realized though after a time, I don't need to get overly creative. I will imprison your soul inside this crystal where you will suffer. You will suffer until the day I see fit to release you. You will see, hear, smell, do nothing. But you will be perfectly aware of the emptiness. Just unending nothingness. You stole the time that my girls would spend in this world, so in turn, I will steal your rest in the afterlife. I just want to save the world from its suffering. Madara croaked out. Naruto shook his head. I can't believe someone as idiotic as you caused so much trouble. But I suppose without you, my wife would have remained a demon instead of transforming into divinity. So thanks for that. He pulled his soul inside the crystal as the soul trapped inside the crystal turned black. As Naruto fitted with a cord and hung the soul around his neck, the crystal that is. It wouldn't seem fit to lose it. He was going to release him one day, once he stopped being pissed at the man. And given that he's immortal, that's going to be a long time. Now get me out of here, said Zena. Wait just a moment longer, there's one thing I like to do, said Naruto. As he focused, the valley became green and lush with life. He could sense the Kages coming down, but he ignored them as trees sprouted up. The valley was filled with nature once again. The vast desert also sprouted grass and trees all over as well. Naruto, said Jiraiya as he landed. Sup, said Naruto. Are you okay? Jiraiya asked. Hang on a second, said Naruto. I have to get my wife out of the seal. He then turned back to Jiraiya. Don't panic, he said. Jiraiya was confused. Why would I? As Zana emerged, the massive form of a 10 tails, its looming single eye, looked over the entire valley. No one noticed, but Naruto lost his horns. His hair turned back blonde, but he still had his Hayori. Everyone froze, no one said a word, hoping hard that the thing wouldn't see them. The shinobis on the outer edge froze in shock. That is one big ass chicken, said Naruto. As an eye snapped towards him. She fired something, but it wasn't a Biju bomb. It was a glob of spit that landed right on Naruto. Ew, that's gross, Naruto shouted. Seriously? I make you a goddess and the first thing you do is hug a look at me, he said. As Zana shrunk down, her hair was now white and she had horns. She was also 7 feet tall. Other than that, she was the same. You should feel honored. Not everyone gets spat on by a deity. Yeah, I'm just real thrilled, said Naruto. Hey, why are you 7 feet tall, he asked, as he created a clone that blasted him with water, cleansing his body. I'm a goddess now, so I should be able to look down on everyone, she said. I'm not sure about the horns and the white hair though. A perverted thought came in Naruto's head to grab those horns when they were... He started to giggle a bit. But Maiden spoke. Excuse me, but could someone explain the situation right now, she asked, as she really hoped that everything could come to an end right here. After all, the 4 Kages were here. Kiri was sick of war. I suppose the explanation would be in order, but listen well, and do not interrupt me, said Zana, her voice carried off all over the valley. In an age-long past, the old gods were present in an endless war that humans in this world engulfed themselves in. So they conduct an experiment. They transported a large group of them to this continent, where the Shinju once stood alone. They did this because the humans here had lost faith in the gods. And they figure, with the god tree, they would realize that things out there were greater than them, and that their war was meaningless. For a time it worked and the old gods move on, satisfied with what they have done. However, the humans got over the Shinju, and started just treat as a landmark. In time, Kaguya Osusuke came and she was desperate to end the constant bloodshed that had started back up again. The truth of the Shinju was forbidden to touch, but she still ate it. A stone tablet was there warning away those that seek the fruit, but she ignored and ate it, feeling like she knew better. She got immense power from eating that fruit. Unknown to her, she was pregnant at the time, and that great power had further concentrated in her son, Hagoromo. She subdued the world. Years later, the Shinju became aware it wanted its power back. It took the form of a Tails, the creature you saw me turn into a moment ago. Hagoromo defeated the Jobi by sealing it inside of himself, and became the Sage of Six Paths. His mother had long since passed by then, and he figured he could spread the power through the elemental nation to link every human being. But people never learn. They start to use chakra for war. Years after that, the clans came into existence. Before this happened, he split the Jobi into 9 bijus. Of once, I was the Kyuubi. The shinobis adopted Fuinjutsu so that they can seal the biju inside of their body and become Jinjulkis. Her voice said with scorn at the end, Madara awakened the Rinnegan, and you want to use the power of the Rinnegan to remake the Jobi to place the world in an illusion of peace. As you saw, my former Jinjulki, Naruto Uzumaki, was against that plan, defeating Madara, and made me the new Ten Tails, also restoring most of the power that was stolen by Kaguya. In the meanwhile, you stupid idiot humans were busy fighting each other, not knowing that all of you would have lost your freedom if it wasn't for my husband, she said. They remember in the end what kind of reputation Uzumaki had, but in the end, he saved them all. We are leaving this place, and you can freely kill each other if you desire. But before I go, I will be taking away your chakra. I am only telling you this because Naruto is a part of your species. This is not a question. We are just gonna let you take our chakra, said Onki, followed up by A. Silence, she said as the sky ripped, a lightning bolt slamming into the ground. This is not a debate. Contest me again, I will take your life as well. May I ask a question, Zena-sama, said Gaara politely. He knew that combat was useless. You may, she said. Is there any way we can convince you to allow us to keep our chakra? Firstly, it's not your chakra, it's my chakra, she said. And you have no argument that would give me to make me allow you to. My apologies. We have it so long, we have come called to our chakra, said Gaara. Your words implied that there was an argument for us to continue using your chakra, he said. Perhaps if you use it for something other than senseless war, but that opportunity has long been wasted. Mankind will never be satisfied without conflict. Gaara was satisfied by that, as he has also witnessed many cruelties in his short life. What about medical ninjutsu? Chakra is used to heal, said Jiraiya. And how many injuries have medical ninjutsu heal that were not caused by chakra in the first place because of war? Not many, said Jiraiya. Will our people survive? Gaara asked, seeing that the sins of their ancestors was too much. Kazekage-dano, you can't just be giving up like this, Ace said. I am the Kazekage, and as Kazekage it's my duty to protect my people, not sacrifice their life for my pride. If I must give up the use of chakra to protect them, then I will do so. I agree with Kazekage-dano. It is the duty of a Kage. Also, it will be foolish to commit to a battle that you cannot win, right, Kage-dano? Or else, you have a way of going past what you saw earlier. Then, by all means, intake yourself in a battle. Aid grimaced as he lowered his head and went silent. Come on, Gramps, don't be so stubborn. It won't do the hidden stone any good if we all get killed here. Be quiet, Kurosaki. I am Tishikage. I get to make my decision, he said, as everyone looked towards the short old man. I can't fly without chakra. Do you have any idea what this can do to my poor back and hips? Zena narrowed her eyes. Oh fine, he said, as he started to sulk. Everyone was dismayed that they were going to lose their chakra, but it's not that they could do anything. Wait! Just one more question, Jiraiya said. I was just wondering, what about the summoning clans? Oh, them? Said Zena. They will also lose their chakra but remain as they are. Future generation would be no more than animals, like what they should have been. Jiraiya nodded. He didn't feel really sympathetic for them. The whole killing baby things still had a sour taste in his mouth. By the way, Gaara, I left a gift for you in Wind Country, said Naruto. A gift? I used my Mokidan to transform a desert into fertile grasslands and forests. Gaara smiled honestly. Thank you, Naruto. That will make life in the desert much easier, said Gaara, as Naruto leaned and whispered, You impressed the sexy Mizukage earlier. If you play your cards right, you can totally tap that. Gaara blinked in a deadpan look. Perhaps we should consider making an alliance after this, said me. Adjusting to life without chakra would be difficult, and it made no sense, continued warring. I commend your effort, even though it's gonna fall apart, in probably 3 generations later. Now, if you're all done chattering, she said. Time skip. Well, I guess that is that, said Naruto, as everyone is unconscious. They'll wake up in a couple hours though. Indeed, Senna said. Did you get all the ones that weren't here as well? Like civilians and all? Naruto, I'm a goddess. Of course I did. I got everyone, everything over the elemental nation. Don't you think you're taking this I'm better than you attitude a bit too far, said Naruto? You only ascend to divinity once, husband, and I'm going to milk it as long as I can. And don't think I don't know what you were thinking about doing with my horns. As Naruto raised his hand in defense. I can bring them back, you know, she said. I have the power to do it. Nah, said Naruto. I don't think that would be wise. They've been dead for months now. And bringing them back from once they pass is a bad idea. You're quite correct. It's a bad idea. They will not remember the afterlife. But you wouldn't be doing them any favors, said Zena. Wait, can you look in on them? Said Naruto. Naruto, I'm a goddess, she said. I can do just about anything. As Naruto rolled his eyes at her tone, but she smiled. As he knew that they were doing good, wherever they were. Karen was still out there now, but she was scared of him. But Gara and Jiraiya would take care of her for him. So you said that we were leaving this place. Where are we going, said Naruto. You will see, but before that, I have 2 more things to do in this land, she said. And what are those, said Naruto. Instead of answering, she kissed him, which she returned. You still have some of my chakra, beloved. I'll be taking it back, she said. As that was what he heard before he lost consciousness. Time skip. Zena walked through the hidden grass. Her hair and horns gone. Her hair turned back to red. As she made her way, as she arrived at a cave. She had a physical body now. As she felt her arms and moved around a bit. Kyube, what brings you here? Said Jashin from within the darkness of the cave. Something was wrong. The last time she approached him, he was able to suck her chakra, so why would she approach him so normally? That was weird. Oh, I just felt like visiting my only big brother, she said. Big brother? He said, confused. As she walked inside, looked around the cave wall. Yes, I need you for something. What would that be? Her hair turned white, and horns grew on her forehead. To eat you, she said, as she impaled her horns through his chest. I've already eaten my other siblings, but I still feel hungry, she said. He didn't get a chance to reply as he collapsed into dust. You had a decent plan. Absorb life force. Until you could get the Jubis and turn into it. But you were just too slow. She felt something though from the corner of the cave. As she made her way, it was a crystal. A chakra crystal. He had stored his chakra inside. So some gullible human can come. I need to possess him. Or not, she said. She stomped on it. Time skip. Naruto woke up. As he remembered what happened, Zena had taken away his chakra as he was lying on a bed that was so soft. Finally awake, are you? As he turned, she was right there. As she was sitting on a throne, with moss, soft moss growing over it, with her long white hair and her horns. What's going on and where are we? We are on an abandoned island, several hundred miles away from the coast of the elemental nation. What's going on? Why do you take away my ability to use chakra, he said. Can't you guess, Naruto? I've been using you this entire time. I need a human, so I could finally reach the level I should be all along, a goddess. And you were the perfect, loyal husband. All you need was the occasional pat on the head, or spreading of legs, she said. As he paused, just looking at her. That couldn't be true. Liar, he said to her, as her gaze turned amusing. You sure did work out that fast. How come, she said. Well, for one thing, too much random stuff happened that you couldn't have planned. And I know that your feelings were real. So true. I was lying, she said. Why, said Naruto. To get my revenge on you. For what? You called me a chicken, she said. And you spat on me. I was very insulted, she said. Alright, fine. Did you just take away the chakra to play a cruel prank? And why isn't your voice enhanced like usual? And did you get short again, he asked. Now that I have a physical body, it's much easier to speak normal, she said. It makes sense, Naruto nodded. And yes, I lower my height to 6'4". I was much too tall. And for the chakra, eat this, she said, as she produced a strange, bulbous looking pot. What the hell is that? It's a chakra fruit, you idiot. What else? And you're just giving this to me, said Naruto. No. I want you to polish it real nice and give it back. Of course I'm giving it to you, idiot. Why have you become so stupid, she asks. Don't know, maybe I'm brain damaged, and I can't think properly enough without chakra, he said. Anyway, will there be any side effects from eating this thing? As he poked it. I'm not sure, she said, amusement in her tone. Since I'm giving it to you willingly, you'll probably be the closest thing to a god, as a human can be. You may or may not grow horns like me though. He looked intrigued, those horns were awesome. And your hair might turn white, she said. Well, that wasn't a big deal. And you might turn into a she-male. As Naruto paused. What? You're joking, right? The one thing I'm certain you will bind all of your chakra to your soul, even in physical half. And it will bind your soul to me. That way you can not truly die as long as I exist. Sweet, said Naruto as he had a thought. Wait, all this research on the Edo Tensei was for nothing. Yes, she said. And all the people I killed for it. Completely pointless, she said. Well, at least they were bad people. One more question before I eat this. Yes, she said. Why couldn't the damn blonde idiot just eat it already, so they could get to the sex? What are we gonna do afterwards? We're gonna spend a nice long time finishing our honeymoon off on this island, and then we're gonna go dimensional hopping. Before you ask, no, we're not going to the other continent on this world. The humans there develop weapons so powerful they wipe themselves out with them, so there's nothing there. You can dimensional hop, said Naruto. Naruto, I'm a goddess. I know, said Naruto. I really think I'll appreciate the attitude of yours when it's aimed at someone else. Just eat the fruit so I can screw your brains out, she said. As he smiled, as he ate the fruit. And yeah, guys, this is where this came to a final. And as I said, thank you all for following me in this long, incredible long journey. I just want to say thanks. Whoa, it's been a long while. But don't be sad because you know, as usual, new what is are coming up soon for you guys to enjoy. So sit back, relax, and like I said, enjoy. But for now, moat, peace.